BowTie Barbecue has always been a work of passion. It takes time, skill, and a blend of perfect temperature, wood, smoke, and meats. We just took it up a notch. Taste the passion. BowTie Barbecue, 6724 Waters Avenue, Savannah.
Live from BowTie Barbecue, I am Christian Gokel, sitting alongside the head men's soccer coach for your cadets, Charlie Moore, here to wrap up what was a very successful and entertaining 2024 and 2025 season. And Coach, first off, glad to have you on the stream. I know we always see Danny Britt on here, but we had to get some new blood.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you very much. And thanks to all of our players and parents that have turned up tonight too.
And players and parents of a program, I think first and foremost here at Benedictine. I know there's a lot of teams around the state of Georgia. You've truly built a program over these years here in Savannah, and I think that was on full display this season. You guys go 11-7 overall, 8-2 in a very challenging region, finished tied atop the region, and it came down to a tiebreaker there between you and Perry. But the resiliency of a program, I think, really shined through this season.
Yeah, we it's a lot of work. It's my 13th year, and I've had different groups, but I would say this year, I would compare this group to the 2017-18 winners. Although this group didn't win a championship, some of the soccer they played was absolutely terrific and up there. It was really good.
And 11-7, played a challenging schedule, and I've spoken to some coaches about this over different sports, but when you're looking at opponents that you're going to schedule before a year starts and you're communicating with people that you know from around the state, maybe even outside the state, why pick such a challenging schedule when you know you have such a gauntlet coming up in the region?
I think that's the reason for that. A lot of teams locally, you can't pick and choose who you play in the region, but our region is really competitive. And the 4A classification in Georgia is the most competitive. And I think what people forget is we had a choice to drop down to 3A and play locally. And the upshot of that was, even if we won the region, which we may have won, we would have then been put in with other private schools and had to travel. So we chose as a school to play in a higher classification with more competition. Now, playing teams outside of that, like Richmond Hills and South Effingham's and Glyn Academies, that just gets you ready for the types of teams you play, like St Pius. And if you look at their result, they went and played Eastside, a team that was ranked higher, hadn't really played anybody, and absolutely crushed them 6-1. And this is a team that came here and played a 3-2 tight game with us that could have gone either way. So it shows you sometimes that the better competition you take, the better you are. And sometimes the rankings are a bit of a mockery, to be honest with you.
And I know it's one of the most fascinating things, just how you're dealing with boys who are 13 to 17 to 18 years old and their mentality and how they grow throughout 12 months. And you guys are losing some key seniors here. And I wanted to talk about them at the top of the show. I think a really strong legacy that they leave behind, but also some very big boots to fill.
Yeah, and we will do it. I mean, the thing is, our seniors were good this year, as they are most years, but we don't base our team totally on, if you're a senior, you'll play. We've got a lot of really good incoming freshmen that started and played. We've got a lot of sophomores. We've got a lot of juniors. Our junior class, the rising seniors, is very good. We've got good new players coming in as freshmen. We build the program around how good can we be, not let's stack it with the oldest, most experienced players.
Sure, and I'm going to go back to the beginning of the season. We talk about those seniors. You kind of know what you have with a guy like a Christopher Woods, right? But there's a lot of unknowns as well with the team and how much guys have developed during the offseason. When you were looking at this team at the beginning of the season, what was kind of your take on them and how they were going to be able to approach the season?
The take was really that we were very young in areas and that our seniors would have to produce, and that probably our defence would not be, no disrespect to them, but although there was a lot of upperclassmen in there, the most consistent part of our team, that we were a team that would create a lot of goals, score a lot of goals, and we set up that way to say, well, that's the way we're going to play, and we know we'll concede, and we're basing it on we'll score more than you. So if you score 3, we have to score 5 or 6, and we sort of played that way, and we changed the system 2 or 3 times. But I think the pleasing thing, going back to the seniors and the defense, is they tightened up. I worked with them continuously, and then I had Jared Bartland come and work with them with me continuously. And they just got better and better and better. John Brenton, Turner Rodenberg, Parker Lane, Eli Saunders, those guys, that they got better. And as they got better, our midfield was still very creative and good, and our forwards were still putting goals in. So we became a complete team. So we worked on everything. Liam Fleming was instrumental in working on the finishing and different runs with the guys. It's a cliche, but it's a whole team effort, you know. Jack Tuberville working with the goalkeepers, Jared coming in working with the defenders with me, Liam working with the attackers, me working with the attackers and the midfielders. And the boys had togetherness. They had a lot of togetherness. And that really, playing the way we were playing, is what made us very, very good. I felt on our day we could beat anybody, and I still feel that.
And you mentioned it as you were speaking there, that you made adjustments to how you guys approached it, whether it's formation or who was in what position multiple times throughout the season. And really it was after the 3-0 defeat at Perry, and then the one that we were talking about earlier that kind of set the tone for the season, the 3-2 loss at Wayne. You guys come out, you change formations, and all of a sudden you rip off 7 games in a row to win and start building up where you could put pressure on Perry to win the region. What went into that decision making?
Basically, we saw our weak points from playing what were initially going to be our strong points. So we changed things in that aspect. We changed some personnel, we changed some positions. But what we also saw was game to game, that even after the 5, 6, 7 games, that really wasn't the answer on certain size fields or on grass or against different opposition who played a different way. So we looked at changing formations within the game. That was very prevalent at Warner Robins, where we had a kickoff messed up because they messed up the kickoff times and we waited an hour and a half to play. We had a 20-minute warm-up and we were 3-0 down against Warner Robins. We'd beaten them 2 weeks before here 5-1 in 20 minutes. And we changed the way we played within the game. We came back to 3-3 and we beat them 8-3 and we could have mercy ruled them. And we found that we could do that. And then we looked at improving on that. We went to South Effingham pre the end of the season, had a good first half, didn't score enough goals on a narrower field that was turf and against a team that played very differently. And we changed the way we played for a half of the game. I would tell you that the formation we played against St. Pius, we had only played that formation for half a game against South Effingham and a training session. And we went out and executed that session against one of the top teams in the state and could have got a result. So we've got the ability to play different ways. And we're going to do that a lot with the players we've got.
And it did feel like a mindset change as well after, again, the 3-0 loss to Perry. It felt very much like, hey, instead of trying to keep something from happening, we're going to try to make something happen and be on the front foot.
And we've sort of been like that. You've seen us a lot this season, Christian, and we've been a lot like that. Whatever formation we've played, we're always trying to make things happen, whether it's by playing 3 at the back or whether it's by playing 4 at top. We'll change it. We'll do whatever we need to do. And we have the personnel to do that. And I look at players like, I'll pick out Ben Harvey, who's here tonight. We had him come in and play in a completely alien position in the defensive midfield with MJ, who's used to playing there. Ben had never played there. And absolutely, those two were standouts on the night. This is a kid that's never played there.
Right.
We've asked him to do something completely different. And he's done it.
And some young guys, some seniors, some juniors really stepping up. From my vantage point at the end, I thought a few guys like Mills Hollis were just stalwarts on the team, and they could play multiple different spots.
Listen, the question that I got asked or get asked most of the time from people who interview me and the newspaper is, who are your best players? It is very, very difficult to say who my best players are. On any given day, it could be our midfield or our forwards. So it could be Parker Lewis, it could be Chris Woods, it could be Asher Herring, it could be a combination, it could be all of the back three. It could be the midfield too, be it Ben and MJ. It could be Rolando Gamboa, who started scoring goals. Every one of our players contributed. So when you ask me who's our best player, I tend to look at pockets of the team. We don't have that guy, the St. Pius guy, the number 11, I cannot remember his name.
Just got to say 11.
He was their guy. They had a guy. We didn't have a guy. But our goals have come from somebody got 5, somebody got 7, somebody got 8, somebody got 9. That's great to have. I mean, it would also be great to have that guy. But I don't care. We scored about 61 goals and conceded about 40 goals, something like that. Might have been 65. And those goals came from different people in different areas. And there were people who got up in the 6s and 7s. And, do you want that or do you want one guy? Because if you shut the one guy down, you shut one of our guys down. I thought that St. Pius did a great job of shutting down Christopher Woods and Parker Lewis. They saw those as the main threat. Saying that, they didn't stop Chris Woods scoring. It didn't stop Parker Lewis being effective. But it did sort of cut off our supply line getting to those two players. And they sort of planned that very well.
And to clarify, I wasn't asking for the best player because I know, that can change formation by formation. That can change game to game. But more so, when you do change formations, there were guys that, regardless of who you were playing or formation you were playing, seemed like they kind of set the tone a little bit. And it was Mills Hollis in every game that I called. Yeah. And then, but as the season progressed, Asher Heron, I felt, came into his own as well.
Yeah. And I mean, Mills, he just worked his socks off. And we played Mills at left back. We played him at left wing. We played him at left midfield. And he filled that. We played Asher Heron as a striker. We played him as an attacking mid. We played Parker Lewis as a withdrawn 9. We played him as a number 10. We played him as a forward. We played Chris Woods in all three positions. You were right. We had a lot of players, if they were playing football, you'd say played 2 ways, 3 ways sometimes. But they could do it, they did it, and they were very effective doing it.
And I am curious, you watch some teams and it looks like a hockey line change when they make substitutions, but you guys very reserved when it comes to it. When you're approaching it, is that just letting people stay in the groove of the game, or is it just you feel very comfortable with your starting 11?
I feel comfortable with everybody that I use, but a lot of on-field changes that we make aren't substitutions. Moving Mills into a 4 from when we've played a 3 is an on-field decision. And bringing Robert Leonard in up top and maybe sacrificing Ben Harvey, who doesn't fit that system because we're only playing one defensive mid, that can happen. And that's unfortunate for the player who comes off, but the player who comes on fits the system better. So, we'll move about like chess pieces, whatever we need to do to get the best for the performance.
And I did want to talk about the game at the end of the season, but I want to talk about kind of the games leading up to it. You guys were on an unbelievable run. And it felt like you really caught your stride. And I know, regardless of sports in high school, because the out-of-region games, I hate to say don't matter.
Well, they do matter.
You want to win every game.
They do matter.
But when it comes to seeding in region, you really focus on those. And it felt like, and with every team, you want to get hot in region play. And you guys got hot at the right time and were playing your best football at the end. Yeah, I mean, we inherently, over the last 3-4 seasons, we've always started what I would say slow. We may be 6 games in and we could be 2-4 or 1-5 or even 3-3. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It does matter. We're looking more for the performances. We're looking more for an identity. We're looking more of what sort of team are we going to be? How are we going to gel? Who's best for what position? Who can we move around? And once you find that, and I think we found what was our best formation at New Hampstead away. And yes, it is New Hampstead, and no disrespect to them because everybody beat them, but you can only beat what's put in front of you. And we played some terrific soccer that night. And from then on, we stuck to that format. And we tweaked it a little, but basically it was the same thing with the same players in moving chess pieces. And just later down the line, we moved it to 2 different formations for different games where I think it worked. It worked when we were losing at Warner Robins, because that would have been a huge turning point to lose that game, and we could have done. And then it worked again to a degree against St. Pius, but I would still like us to have been more attacking against St. Pius, but the way we played suited us, and their coach said it was very difficult for them to play against. And even though they maybe had more possession and more of the play, he never felt they were comfortable. And when you look at that game and you see the number 11 playing left back at the end of that game and them just camping in their half, that's a testament to what we did. And we just couldn't get over the line. I think had that gone to PKs, we don't know, we may have been playing tonight, I know watching that game, it felt like the field at sometimes was slanted towards your goal, right? Like you guys were running uphill the entire match. But I think that's a testament to what we were speaking about how you guys formed as a team as the season went, that it felt all the world like they were going to win 5-0 at some points in that game.
Yeah.
And then you guys punch back and score.
That's all about the players and the players being dogged and sticking to a system and realising that they were always in the game. Also realising that we could have played more open. And had we played more open, we would have left more gaps. And had we left more gaps, we would have conceded goals. So there was part of us being a little cautious and stopping them. Then there was part of us counter-attacking very well and giving them problems. And we knew that if we got set pieces and corners and counter-attacked and soaked up, that we would get chances. And we did. And the thing about that game, to be really, really honest, is they're such a good team in transition. You can't really tell what they're playing. At times they had 6 men behind the ball. At times they had 8 men in front of it. And you've got to deal with that. And the only way to deal with that is to block up the middle where they like to play. And we forced them wide. And when we forced them wide, we didn't deal with 11 well in the first half. And we learnt by what he did how to deal with him in the second half. And apart from popping up once where he was most effective, he didn't pop up at all, really.
All right, Coach, we're going to take a break here in a second to thank some of our sponsors. But before we do that, just kind of wrapping up this season.
Right.
I know, again, a talented group and a bunch of guys that you've known for a long, long time.
Yep.
As now you're a couple weeks separated from it now and you've had a chance to look back, what are your kind of overarching thoughts about this squad?
Brilliant is the word I would use. Very together. I mean, I'm going back to 2017-18 when we won state championships and 19 when we got to a semi-final and should have been in 3 finals. This team hasn't achieved that. But this team's got something that those teams had. And this is a very together group. This is a group that cares about each other. This is a group that can play. This is a group that's very coachable. And moving forward to next season, I am very, very, very excited about the returning people, the people coming in, the people that weren't available to us to play, who can now play, be it through injury or not being able to play. And next season for us is going to be better. Not that this season was bad. This season was not bad at all. It was the draw we got. If you think that 3 of the 4 people we matched up in the region are in the Elite 8 tonight, that is something. And, you know, the team that we lost to narrowly went and smashed a number 3 seed who'd never lost a game, 6-1, and were 5-0 up at half-time. That shows you the level of where this team is. And we really, really had lost the chance to get on the right side of the draw or win the region when we lost that game at Wayne. The Perry game, we didn't play well, and they did. But the Wayne game, we were 2-0 up with 8 minutes to go, and that is not a game we should have lost. And I will look back at that and forever say, had we did what we did and closed that game out, we would have been playing tonight. We would not have been doing this interview, Christian. That's all I can say.
At least about a month from now.
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break. Thanks some sponsors. We'll be back. We're going to talk about that 2025-2026 season coming up next.
Okay.
BowTie Barbecue has always been a work of passion. It takes time, skill, and a blend of perfect temperature, wood, smoke, and meats. We just took it up a notch. Taste the passion. BowTie Barbecue, 6724 Waters Avenue, Savannah. BC Brothers Moving is Savannah's most trusted moving service. From residential to commercial to packing supplies, BC Brothers does it all. Let BC Brothers' energetic, trustworthy team wrap it, pack it, and move it for you. Check out BC Brothers online at bcbrothersmoving.com or give them a like. Coastal Living, Parker Scott Properties, with commercial, residential, and rentals. Make the call. 912-661-6142 or go to parkerscottproperties.com. Criminal defense, family law, DUI, and divorce. You need representation. The one to call is Savannah's own Jonathan V. Dunn, PC, attorney at law. Voted a Thomson Reuters super lawyer consecutively since 2023. Online at jvdattorney.com.
Welcome back into BowTie Barbecue. Christian Gokel, joined by your head men's soccer coach, Charlie Moore. And we spoke about this past season and the successes that your team has, but now looking ahead towards next year. First off, what does this process look like for you guys during the off season? How do you build between now and those first practices of the 2025 season?
Well, interesting question. Some of the players here tonight might want to listen to this. We're doing things a little bit differently. We are a lot of our players play club. And some are going to continue to do that and some may not. And Stephen Reich, who worked with us a little bit, who does all the fitness performance and tracking and stuff like that, is going to conduct after-school workouts. Those workouts are going to be for all off-season people, and they'll start in August and go to December. So they will include a lot of soccer-specific stuff that the boys will come in a couple of afternoons a week in the weight room from August to December and do. On top of that, Liam Fleming, who's my assistant from Richmond Hill, Liam is allowed to work with small groups of players, a little like we did during the pre-season stuff where we can't have 11. And we have got enough players interested that they're going to work with groups of 4 from Liam. He's going to work with them through the summer on specific training sessions before August. So it would start wrapping up now in June and July. So instead of them not playing club or doing private training, they would do private training with him in groups. And the idea we had as well would be for them to get together on Fridays where he wouldn't work with them as an 11, him pick a team, set up the film because we're not allowed to be there, and then scrimmage, and then for him to review that and then have them play every Friday. So they would do that, and then they would do that again with the workouts August to December. So that when we came for pre-season in January, these guys have been together, they've worked together, they've trained together, they've had individual one-to-one. Liam knows the style of play that we want. He knows what I want. He knows what we need to do. They'll be gelling together, working together. They'll be playing together, hopefully, in an organised scrimmage that they do every single Friday, and we'll be able to review that on film without being there. So Liam and I could pick a team and say, without seeing them and working with them, because we're not allowed to be with groups, right, this 11 plays this 11, we want you to play this way. So that's what we've got planned. And of course, there'll still be people playing, there'll still be people doing their own private tuition, and there'll still be people playing in tournaments. So we feel that is going to gear us much better to be even more together next season and having spent time together as a group. Because if you look at teams like Richmond Hill is a prime example. Those boys are together from pre-K through to middle, through to elementary to high school. So it isn't so much that if you look at Richmond Hill and say they've got a couple of 10s, a star player and some 6s and 7s, they've got 15 8s. I would look to have 15 or 16 8s and 9s. That's what I would look, rather than have a 10. And I think with the way we're doing it, we'll get that. I think we'll get that.
And I know at the end of the season, coaches always go back and kind of retroactively look at the season and try to find things that they've learned or things they'd like to improve upon.
Yeah.
Have you guys kind of identified anything?
Yeah, I think we've got to take our chances better. We create a lot of chances. We created a lot and maybe didn't put the chances away that we should have done. We got to defend better. We gave too many goals away at wrong times, so they're things that we can look at. But I think really it's a case of style of play. We've developed the style we are. We're going to stick to the style we are. We play what Liam likes to call sexy soccer, which it is. It is. And we like to possess the ball. We like to keep it. The longer we keep it, the less chance anybody's got of beating us. I tell my players that if you can keep the ball for 80 minutes, you won't lose a game. Now, if the other team haven't got it, they can't play with it. So, possession is going to be key, communication is going to be key, finishing is going to be key, defending is going to be key, and really being together. The together bit is important. We've got it. We want to build on it. We will build on it. But I think we've got to build on, key positions, defend the ball better, keep the ball better, finish our chances, and score more goals than we concede. And that's going to be Benedictine next year. That's what we're aiming at. That's what we're aiming for. And also having a squad, being able to rotate. We rotated this year, not as much as maybe we wanted to and could have done. We'd like a little bit more depth by doing that, more togetherness where we can rotate, not for rotation's sake. We want to rotate for the sake of tactical, technical, and resting. That's why we want to rotate. We do not want to rotate just because it's a good idea and everybody needs to play. Of course, everybody needs to play and they're not going to get better from the bench, but our job is to win games. And I want us to win games with style, and I think there's times this year where we played with a terrific amount of style, and I think we were a good watch. I think anyone that came to watch us said, wow, this team can play. That's what I'm looking for from these groups.
And again, Coach, just looking at this squad going forward, the beautiful thing about the internet is it lives forever.
Yeah.
Once we post this, it's going to be a load
Yeah.
there. Players are going to be able to go back and watch it,
Yeah.
as I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Question for you. Who do you need more from in 2025? I'll let you put it out to them now.
Easy answer is I need more from everyone. So if you're playing up front for me and you're getting chances, your conversion rate needs to go up. If you're playing in midfield for me and you are losing the ball constantly and not keeping the ball, I need you to keep it better and I need you to create those chances. And if you're playing in defence or in goal for me, your job is to simply defend, keep the ball out and play as a unit. So I need that from everybody in different areas of the field. And I think the work rate is there. I think these guys are willing to do that. I think they're willing to learn. I think they want to learn. But they've got to, if they want it as bad as the coaching staff want it, then they should be state champions next year. But they've got to want it. They've got to step out and want it. I think I've got a group that do.
Yeah.
So we'll see next year.
And the other beautiful thing about the internet is there are film archives from all different areas of football throughout the years, all the different leagues.
Yeah.
Is there any team or coaches that you go back and watch or that you can point to those players that you're talking to right there saying, hey, if you get a chance, go and watch these guys?
Well, I'm a Man City fan. A few of the guys are going to hate me for that, but I do think that Pep Guardiola is one of the best coaches in the world. I love the way they played. They haven't had a decent season this season. But then you can look at teams like Liverpool, who under Arne Slot played really, really well, different brand of soccer. And that was Klopp. He's another one. I just urge all of these guys that are here tonight and the ones that play for me, pick a team, pick a player, preferably someone who plays in your position. Model yourself on that player, watch that player, be that player. If you do that, you'll get better. And people who watch the game understand the game. And I've got guys sitting around this table here tonight who all understand the game. They all watch it. And if they pick themselves to be a centre defensive midfield player, then be somebody like Rodri or Declan Rice. If you pick yourself to be a striker, be Salah, be Haaland, but be somebody who's going to put the ball in the net. If you're going to be a defender, then, somebody like Virgil van Dijk or Saliba from Arsenal, pick those players, watch those players, follow those players. Because the more you understand and the more you see, the better you'll play.
And as you know, my dad was a soccer coach in the state of Georgia for 20 years.
Yep.
I had to watch a lot of Franz Beckenbauer highlights as a holding midfielder.
Hey, this will be back before these guys' time. But, now if you talk about Franz Beckenbauer, you've got to talk about, no relation to me, Bobby Moore, 1966 England World Cup winner. And arguably, according to Franz Beckenbauer, the best defender in the world. Now, I always thought Beckenbauer was, and so I would love to see those two play in the same team.
The beautiful thing about soccer and golf is it doesn't matter which era, it carries over. I'd say about baseball, too.
Yeah.
If you can hit a baseball 400 feet in 1930, you can hit a baseball 400 feet right now. And I think the same goes for soccer. What those guys were able to do 50, 60 years ago translates to today.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
Oh, Coach, before we wrap it up, the last group I want to give you a platform to speak to is the supporters and the parents. Between now and the beginning of next season, what can they do to help BC Soccer?
Turn up, support, and do what they've done. I mean, Holly Lewis, she hate me for mentioning it, but she's done an absolutely great job for us on the administration side. But all of our parents, not just our senior parents, all of our parents have turned up. They've supported the kids. They've been supporting about giving up their... I want to apologise to some of our parents for making them give up their spring break. Honestly, it isn't me, and I don't like it, and I don't like us having to do it. But they've done it so the kids can play to be prepared for playoff games. That might change a little next year. Not saying they'll have spring break off, but they may have more of it off than they did, and they may have to play less games. But our parents have been fantastic. They're always fantastic. They support the kids. They support me. They come to games. They travel away. Just, guys, please keep doing it. The coaching staff are grateful. I know that your kids are grateful. The players are grateful. And you're a big part of our program. And sometimes, at some points, you are the 12th man. So we need you. Please keep turning up.
I know the hard thing about high school is when the seniors graduate, so do the parents. So You got to kind of keep them around. That's the beautiful thing about BC, though, is it's a family.
Not always, because we have those parents will come back and watch us. And I was talking to some parents tonight from a senior that graduated 2 or 3 years ago. They've been to games. Belinda Kuroff did our admin last year before Holly. She came to some of the games. Her kid graduated. I want to see alumni parents back. I want to see alumni kids coming back. And most of all, I would like our parents to just keep doing what they're doing. You're absolutely fantastic. And we really appreciate you guys. If you're out there listening, we really appreciate you. Thank you.
And speaking of supporters, we are battling the sun like you always do when you're at the home games out there. So we're going to get out of here and wrap this one up. But, Coach, we appreciate the time so much. And it's been a pleasure watching this team play from kind of didn't know where we were in the middle of the season and went on a roll there towards the end and played some very, very entertaining soccer. And whether it was a win or a loss, it was always entertaining. So we appreciate being along for the ride.
Thank you, Christian. It's been a blast. And to all you guys that came out tonight, thank you. We've got a few of our younger players here tonight, and it's really, really good to see you. Thank you, guys.
Well, for everybody that makes this possible, we just want to say thank you, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you.